thank your ancestors and for all of you who have been coming to care for these incredible lands over time immemorial. Thank you for allowing me to be present here and also for allowing me to travel, to photograph, and to record the sounds of your territories. Thank you so much. This is a so-called solo exhibition, and I think that's really a misnomer because it's not. I keep looking at you because I'm going to cry the whole time. I have this thing that happens to my face. But I feel emotional or moved that it comes out of my eyes. I'm going to try not to look too many of you in the eyes because I feel so close with so many of you through this wonderful experience. Thank you for sharing your talents with me. So again, this is not a solo exhibition. It's a collaborative experience, a collaborative show where I worked with many incredible people in order to make it possible. I want to thank each and every one of you for your contributions to this work. And hopefully we'll be able to just thank and discuss each person's contributions as we move through the gallery space so I can acknowledge each and every one of you. But to start with, I need to thank the team here at the Campbell River Art Gallery, Sarah, Mandy, Shannon, Alina. Thank you all so much for your support and your skills and your talents that help make this show possible and all the things that you do. But most of all, thank you to Janelle. You invited me here, and you really made all this possible. It's been such incredible generosity in our conversations and now friendship. It really means the world to me, and I'm so proud of what we have accomplished here. Whew, okay. Again, not like an let's clear this up. Okay, let's get fun. Let's have fun. I have a funny story that when I first arrived in Campbell River, I had just been in Vancouver for a couple of days, and I had fallen directly on my face. And so the first moments that I got here, I had a huge, like, black eye and scuffed nose and fat lip because I had fallen directly on my face. That was a great first impression. But I was gifted the Devil's Club salve to help heal my skin. And it did wonders and healed me. And it was my first gift that this land gave me. And so I want to first speak about the wall behind us. It is a wallpaper that's made on newsprint paper, and my component of this design is a drawing of a sample of the Devil's Club plant. That was the beginning of the inspiration for this work. But I later reached out to Nadine Barito, hi Nadine, of the Art Hive, with the hope that I could collaborate with and work with members of the Hive community to collaborate on the design. Nadine wonderfully connected me to John Albert Sharkey, who's now a love of my life, who met me with real enthusiasm and generosity and love. And I'm forever grateful to Sharkey for lending his beautiful designs of the eagle, owl, and dragonfly, and also for sharing his stories with me. Sharkey, you're a true inspiration, and I'm so blessed to know you, and I thank you so much for sharing your talents with all of us in his work. So we came together, and we made this pattern together. These images were printed at the Hive with Nadine, and also with Lisa Longue, who worked on them together. And then we printed them on newspaper and wallpapered them onto this temporary wall that we've constructed in the gallery. So if you're not familiar with this gallery space, this wall actually doesn't typically exist, but thanks to Shannon and her team, we have this sort of temporary wall that separates the kind of dark room in the back to the bright room at the front of the space. So one of the things that I do as an artist is to really think about the architecture of the space, think about the place that I'm in, to think about the economics of that place, the culture of that place. All of those things combine together to create a new experience in every exhibition that I do like this. And so this show will never be seen anywhere else except for right here at the Campbell River Art Gallery.
Wow.
Thank you, Sharky.
Thank you.
I'm so blessed to know you. Thank you, Nadine. I'm so blessed to work with you, really. And don't even, no. I got to be the artist in residence here last June, just after I fell on my face. And the first person that I was introduced to in the community here was Corey Cliff, who I can't say enough wonderful things about. Corey, you're such a joy to be around, and your knowledge and your expertise and your kindness you were so welcoming to me, and you really taught me so much. Corey educated me on the Ligwiłda'xw culture and the origin of the origin story with the 4 tribes, the Ligwiłda'xw, Huu-ay-aht, the Ligwiłda'xw and Huu-ay-aht. Corey and I were lucky enough to travel by water through intersecting Ligwiłda'xw and Huu-ay-aht territories. And we traveled by water to capture the images that you see on this wall. We additionally sat down for a very long conversation. In fact, Corey and I didn't stop talking took me a really long time to edit our conversation because we have so much to talk about around industry and the environment and First Nations, treaty rights, all these things that I'm interested in learning more about. And Corey, thank you so much for giving me everything to start this exhibition with. I really, really appreciate you and your thoughts. So we sat down for a long conversation. If you come and stay for the exhibition for a longer period of time, in this room you'll hear excerpts from that conversation. It was very hard to get it down to. I edited for a long time, and I still got it down to an hour, so if you want to sit and discuss for a long time, please take your time, or listen to just a little piece of it. Corey has so many wonderful, so much traditional ecological knowledge that he shared with me, and hopefully will share with all of you as well. Another sound that you'll hear, which you're not hearing yet because we've muted everything, but we'll bring back up when we've completed this, is the Ligwiłda'xw children's singers from the culture group at River Rock Elementary. Led by Will Henderson, the cultural mentor in School District 72. So thankful for them. I was lucky enough to be here during Indigenous Peoples Day on, I think, June 21st, June 19th?
June 7th.
No,
21st.
Right? Yeah. And walked with the procession from the big house to Spirit Square, and got to be in community with the students listening to their songs. And it was so wonderful for me. And I think it's so important to bring the children's voices into this space. One thing that has really inspired me in the last few years is a way in which I've wanted to bring children's voices into other exhibitions, and this one included, is that they are left with what we do, right? This is part of the 7th generation thinking. It's so important that we think of them when we make all of our decisions. And there's a moment right now in our political history where I'm seeing children actually having to stand up for themselves, saying, wait a second, gun control, you should be able to figure this out, you know, the adults getting together. And that's coming from an American context, but still, like, our children they know what's going on, they can see what's happening. And it's important that we respect them and honor them. And so I wanted to make sure that their voices are here and their songs are here. So you'll hear their voices as well. What else can I tell you? I was able to travel around to other parts of Vancouver Island and went across the Banfield Road from Port Alberni to Banfield. And a lot of the photographs on this wall were taken along that journey. So you'll see some of the viewpoints of the logging, sort of a very heavy logged area as part of inland of the island. I was trying to bear witness to the impacts of industry on the environment. And so you'll see those images here. And I also need to give my profound gratitude to Sarmad Al-Muhallam at Phototech Photosource for his photographic expertise and his technical support of the show. None of the photography would even be here without Sarmad. He lent me in-kind equipment, a camera. He did the professional printing of all these images. He went along with me to figure out which material to use, and has just been a joy to work with. Thank you so much, Sarmad. Really, it wouldn't be possible without you. Lastly, I want to acknowledge the Huu-ay-aht Institute and the Huu-ay-aht staff, Josh Spielberg, for working with me to allow me to show a video that's in the back room. So there are two rooms that we're sort of not talking about yet. One is the dark room in the back, and in the back there are two videos, one of which comes from the Huu-ay-aht Institute. And it's a long-form, uncut, and unedited version of a helicopter journey that goes up into a major landslide that happened in Elliott Creek Inlet. Many of you probably know about that disaster. That landslide was felt across the planet, and it was actually a place that Corey had indicated to me as a point of interest that we wanted to go to see together, but couldn't necessarily make it happen. It's expensive to take a helicopter, it turns out. But after we spoke, I did this research to try to see if there was footage already out there. And the Huu-ay-aht, I'm saying it right, Huu-ay-aht Institute had done that work. They're a science organization, Quadra, based around the region. And they gratefully, for me, allowed us to have access to that file and show it in its entirety in the background. It's about an hour-long footage. You only need to see a moment of it to understand the devastation of that event. And I want to make sure that we're looking at really difficult things, and I really struggle when I make artwork because I don't want to just be like looking at the awful things. We all know the awful things that happen. It's not. It makes me depressed actually. I'm in my studio by myself. But I think it's really important that we look, because that looking puts us into a position of action. But we also need to see the beauty. So we have to remember all the beauty that surrounds us as well, and remember what we're fighting for. It's the beauty of the land, the people on it. The second video that's in there is made entirely with Google Earth. So this is one of the ways in which I learn about a place, is using the tools of our oppressors in a somewhat subversive way. So I use the technology of Google Earth to really look very closely at the landscape in different regions, and I'll learn the landscape as if I'm walking on the ground as much as I can. So I actually have to rehearse. That video is about 53 minutes. It is one long take, so you have to understand that it's made like, I have to rehearse it over and over again before I can actually do a decent take, because I get lost. Just like Corey and I know how we were trying to find the different important points of your territories. And if you zoom in too far, it's hard to tell where you are. You're just dropped in the woods. So I really have to learn the language of the land in some ways, even though it's in its abstracted digital form, in order to sort of try to understand and depict the region and the territory. Corey's voice, which I'm so grateful to include, and thank you for giving permission to allow it, Corey. But there's also a beautiful image of a sunrise that I took at the near solstice while I was staying here. It was the 20th of June. where I was staying in a home on Appian Way, right on the water, and my room had a big window facing the water, and I woke because the sunrise was so intense and so incredible. Like my blinds were up and it just blasted me. So I woke up and I grabbed the camera that Sarmaka lent me, and I ran outside and I took these photos of the sunrise because it was the most awe-inspiring colors I'd ever seen, probably. Like, just unbelievable. And to look at a photograph of a sunrise, we all know this, you can never capture, like, the majesty of the mountains. You cannot capture the incredible color of the gradient of light. You can't capture, like, the incredible, awe-inspiring landscape that was in front of me. So I tried. It's made of multiple photographs, so it's actually 6 photographs combined into one composite image. You can kind of see the different images that come together in that picture. But I was also trying to make a painting, because in some ways a painting can be almost more real than a photograph can be, because you can amplify the colors and you can kind of give it some kind of extra something. I don't know what I'm trying to say here. And in the process of trying to translate the photograph to the painting, I actually realized that the two together were actually quite amazing, because they gave this otherworldly feeling to that piece. So if we go into that room, what you'll see is this composite photograph of the beautiful sunrise that I saw, with a painting underneath it, and the photograph is projected on top. So there's actually sort of 2 layers of image there. So if you walk in front of the projection, you'll see a shadow of your own body, and you'll see a little bit of the painting behind. And there's also a lovely photograph of 2 wonderful deer that were on the shore with me that morning. I think that's all I have to tell you about the show so far. Thank you so much for hosting me here. Thank you for the wonderful warm welcome that I received. Thank you to the community that I've built here with you all. I'm so grateful to you, and thank you.
Thank you. I told you she was amazing. Thank you so much, Eleanor. I guess we can open the floor to questions if you have any questions, or we can go straight into mingling. Does anyone have any questions for Eleanor? For sure, Sharky's already making a move. Any questions? Anything to add? No. Then in that case, Corey, since you're here, would you like to add anything about the process or your involvement in it?
Absolutely.
Yay.
First, I'd like to say thank you for letting me participate in this. I've worked in the environment since 2009, and during that time, I've had an opportunity to identify a lot of problems that I see within my territory. A lot of times, due to many different circumstances, a lot of this information doesn't get out there, and the general public doesn't quite understand how far past the tipping point we're getting. So the work that she's done here, it really brings attention to a lot of these very significant issues within my territory and many different First Nations out there. It puts it out on the front page, in the forefront of people's attention. So you get an opportunity to see exactly how bad it can be out there. There's images like on the wall over here where you've got a clear cut and a small little chunk. And this is a perfect illustration of how we need to do better. That chunk in the middle there is called a retention patch. Some organizations call it a wildlife sanctuary or a wildlife retention patch. There's a number of different names for it. The idea behind it is that it's giving wildlife an opportunity to escape their predators, mimicking the natural forest surrounding area. But if you look to the sides, left or right, you can see that this is not doing its job. This is not protecting our wildlife. This is not creating biodiversity. This is really a crime. This is a crime against not only our people, but the children unborn yet. So when I get an opportunity to meet somebody like this, I really raise my hands to you, because a lot of your work is doing exactly what you've done here is bringing this to people's attention and letting them know this is happening. This is happening in our territory, and we need to start thinking about our children. Our next generation, the generation following, 7 generations from now, our children should be enjoying the same quality of life as we have or better. But we're failing at that right now. So thank you. Please come back again, visit us. If you want to do some more work together, you've got my number. Thank you so much.
You have a question? Oh boy, Eleanor, you're in the hot seat.
Thank you for allowing yourself to speak so eloquently about all of that deal there. My question to you, were you allowed to go onto any of these pieces of land that you were there to feel the real presence of the land?
That's a great question. I did not, in this particular drive, this particular water trip, we stayed on the boat. We were under pressure for time, so we were going to stop, but then we had to come back because we wanted to see so much. But I was on land for all the rest of the time that I was here and walked into the forest, and I spent a lot of time just being in the forest as much as I could and feeling the energy of the land here.
That's one of the most powerful things of any territory, any place, the rock, the water, the trees and everything. And when I looked at that one on the back there, to see those skimpy little trees around that big one, that's the one that you had to go and touch. Because that big tree, before they started to reap the forest and taking all of those, you know, and that's what our people have to witness in every nation, those big trees were taken out and all of that, you know. The pride that they felt about it is that nobody ever felt the deals of speaking to the people of the land and watching all of that just go, you know. And I said one of the hardest things about the existence of any territory, you know, and all of that. And I said you'll never see what they had and what they stripped from the communities. That cedar's one species. All the other species, people there, you can see a lot of pictures of them, flowers and everything, standing on the butt end, and that tree is like that over them, one tree. You won't even be able to see that anywhere, because of the whole deals of, I just think of this island alone. You watch logging trucks coming out, they're taking the timber out like those small little species like that. I said, why are they taking them out so early?
Because they don't have they can't wait for them to grow.
Yeah.
They won't wait for them to grow.
I know.
I saw this truck here, the importance of this truck photograph with close up. It's kind of blurry, it's not a great photograph, and the reason why I took that photograph as I was driving past it was that that truck did not have a license plate on it. It had no plate.
Yeah. No, but you know, like my deal is, I said, if you're going around into all these areas, that's why I had to ask you, if you have the opportunity to go feel the energy that's in that tree, energy around that tree and everything. You take a moment, and I said, that's what our ancestors say, you know, you allow the energy of that tree to speak to you. And it will, you know. You stood there and showed a little bit of emotion to that, but if you sat there and felt the energy coming from them, that's the truth, you know. Thank you.